Hey there, and welcome to the IT Guy Show, episode number 23. Today's episode is entitled Keep It Techie. That's because that is the name of my guest today. His name is Josh, and you've probably seen his YouTube videos. I know I stumbled across his channel long before I ever had the pleasure of working with him. So without further ado, let me introduce my guest today. Josh, welcome to the IT Guy Show.
Hey, how you doing, Eric? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad we could set some time aside to do this. So my some of my audience probably knows that this year I am on a quest to eliminate subscriptions. I'm tired of getting charged $20 here and $50 there, and Lord knows one of them's like 120 a month, or not a month, like every 6 months or something ridiculous. But we all know those subscriptions are not getting any cheaper, and it's like I have this server. It could probably be doing a whole lot more for me. So I saw some of your content. We worked together on a couple of other projects. So I was really excited to sit down and kind of pick your brain a little bit. But for those that don't know you, could you tell us a little bit about who you are, Josh?
Yes. So first off, my name is Josh. I created a YouTube channel called Keep It Techie. I've been making videos for a number of years now. I started off, well, first off, I work in IT, and it kind of started off as just simply a hobby of me doing Linux content centered around me learning things outside of my job. And so, um, as things kind of grew, it just kind of just turned into me uh, just just basically teaching people different things about Linux and different things they could do in their home lab in order to get better in learning different tools and examples out there, or different applications out there that are centered around IT, and just applications they can use in their home lab in order to get better at using the applications that could benefit them at home, and as well as getting rid of those subscriptions like you brought up not that long ago. And so um, that's kind of what the channel has turned into, where I just talk about different applications when it comes to that.
So did you just kind of do all this stuff for yourself and then realize that you kind of wanted to tell other people about what you were working on? Is that how you got your start?
Yeah, essentially, it was just a way of me documenting um, what I was
Yep.
learning, so I can reference back to it. That's really how it started, because my first IT job was actually systems administrator, and I started on that Windows side. Most people, when they come out of school, they start on that Windows side. They teach you
Hmm.
Windows, and the first job they had a lot of Linux computers. And I didn't know Linux. And so one of the things that I end up doing was taking one of the older computers that I had, installing Linux on it, and just learning about the different applications that are on there, how to set up a DHCP server, DNS server using Linux, because it's totally different.
Yep.
Well, not that different. The concepts are pretty much the same, but just setting it up is totally different when it comes to setting up the configuration files and learning how to navigate the command line. And so that is what was totally different. And it just took me out of my comfort zone. So I wanted to be confident in my role at work. So it was just a way of me documenting what I was doing so I could reference back to it. And I started putting up videos just talking about the different commands that I learned. Because if you look at my earlier content, you'll see that I started off just going through different commands that I learned, like just how to use a text editor,
Hmm.
Nano, or how to cat out log files, or just basic Linux commands, so I could reference back to them whenever I needed them at my job.
Yep. Yeah, I can relate to that. Last year, I experimented with what I called live ops
Mhm.
because live coding was pretty popular, but I'm not a coder, not a developer. So I would I would live stream some of the stuff that I was doing in my home lab. And I got to tell you, the transcripts from those, I mean, it was 3 or 4 hour long sessions, but the transcripts really helped me build my own internal documentation. Of course, I've rebuilt my home lab twice since I've done those particular episodes, but it really does help. And
Yeah.
and clearly you've had some success because our audio listeners may not be able to tell, but in the back corner there of your camera shots, I see a YouTube plaque.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And that actually came from me helping other companies as well. So that's I guess I started getting recognized by other companies because they realize the importance of just teaching people how to set up these different applications in their home lab as well as in the cloud. So a lot of this stuff applies directly to the cloud, even just the basic applications that you would set up in your home lab, they can be applied in the cloud. So all these different cloud platforms, it can be translated into those cloud um, platforms. So those cloud jobs, um, they're relevant when it comes to learning these applications as well. So
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
yeah.
that kind of brings us to the crux of what I wanted to pick your brain about.
Mhm.
Partly because one of the first videos I saw of yours in recent times was about this very topic. About here we are in 2026. The cloud is pretty pervasive. You have all these choices. You've got your big hyperscalers. You've got kind of tier two platforms as well. Um, but is it worth it in 2026 to have a home lab?
Uh, I believe so. It is still worth it. Uh, But it all depends on how much money you're willing to invest. Now, you don't need much money to start off when it comes to a home lab. You can start off with a couple Raspberry Pis. That's one of the benefits. You can have like a couple Raspberry Pis at the house. That'll allow you to set up just a basic home lab. But if you have like just some older computers, that also will get you started. So,
Mhm.
but when it comes to having like a full-blown home lab, you're gonna start running into using a lot of electricity. You know what I'm saying? So that electric bill is going to start hitting your pockets,
Yep.
uh, depending on how much how big your hardware is that you have at the house. So how much hardware you have at the house, and then also you run into heating issues. your your uh your house staying cool. Because right now, like in my office, uh, I actually had to purchase a small AC just for this room because my full-blown AC for the house is not strong enough in this room just to keep this room, uh, cool enough for the equipment that I have in here. And I don't even have like blade servers like a lot of people have in their home labs. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And so it's yeah, you the electricity bill will start going up, you know what I'm saying? But um you still can get those savings out of it and also the experience side of it by having your home lab. So it is still worth it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just have to weigh those pros and cons when it comes to it.
Well, and I work in technical marketing, and I'm also a professor of Linux at a local college here. And so the cloud route doesn't make a lot of sense because I tend to build a lot of little machines. So, I
Mm,
mean, my standard build is, 2 cores, 4 gigs of RAM, just because I need multiple operating systems to run some kind of automation, some kind of orchestration platform or something. So I still tend towards having physical hardware, and I still tend towards wanting to host it in the home. Um,
mm.
and I usually just go to a virtual machine hypervisor, whether that's RHEL running libvirt, Red Hat Enterprise Linux with the cockpit interface. It's great to manage virtual machines. And then today I'm running Proxmox on a PowerEdge.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another benefit. Like these hypervisors are super easy to get. You know what I'm saying? Get into with Proxmox. As long as have virtualization on your processor, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, enabled and all that stuff. You're able to run Proxmox and you can run those virtual machines on there, and as long as you have the hardware in order to run multiple virtual machines, or you can run containers on it. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? So you have multiple options nowadays to run. You can have one system that runs multiple um, applications on it. So there's
Yeah,
that
there
benefit.
there for a while I had a single Dell PowerEdge R720. I still have it, but for several years I ran Unraid, and all of my home production stuff like Plex and some of our game servers like Minecraft and whatnot would run inside containers on top of Unraid. And then
Okay.
that left the virtual machines to be more of a sandbox. I could spin them up, tear them down, without getting the friend sending me a Telegram message. Well, it was Telegram at the time, sending me a message going, "Hey, your Plex server's down, and I'm trying to watch the latest, Star Trek or whatever." Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've kind of settled on back on Proxmox in this season.
Yeah, and another thing I would want to say as well, like if you're looking at getting into um I would say networking. If you're
Mm.
looking at getting into the networking side, a lot of times it's beneficial to get the hardware, especially when it comes to getting into like Cisco equipment
Oh,
or
that definitely.
yeah, and you can find a lot of that stuff depending on where you are. Uh like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, or depending on if if it's popular in your area, what site to look for that stuff. But a lot of people that go through IT training, they do have that equipment. You can go through and get some of that equipment in order to train on setting up Cisco equipment in order to get ready for those tests. And they also have some virtualized software nowadays that and I haven't looked into it, but I know a lot of people, they prefer the hardware in order to set it up.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
So my home lab journey probably started around 2010 or so. Like you, I started out on the Windows side. I went from desktop support to basic server administration, and I can remember standing inside of Borders bookstore. Yes, they literally used to have buildings with paper books lining rows and rows, and I would spend hours there. But I will not forget in 2010 holding two books in my hand. One was a certification guide, a certification prep guide for Windows Server, and the other one was a study guide for the RHCSA, the Red Hat Certified Systems Administrator course.
okay.
And I probably spent an hour thumbing through both books, deciding not what certification I wanted to study for, but literally what direction I wanted my career to go in.
Yeah.
And anybody that knows my history knows I picked the Red Hat certification guide, and shortly thereafter got a full time job as a Linux systems administrator, knowing very very little. So it is possible to make the switch. And you talk about level of comfort. Even today, I feel so much more comfortable in the Linux command line than I do on Windows 11.
Yeah.
so so
Yeah.
I've gotten out of desktop support for friends and family by saying, look, and if you're not going to run Linux, then I'm not going to support it because I don't. I have one Windows machine and it sits over on a shelf.
Hmm.
When I occasionally have the chance to play Steam games,
Yeah.
and when it gets replaced, it's probably going to be replaced with a Linux laptop that I play Steam games on. But
Yeah.
my first home lab, I literally took the specs for my gaming PC. I've had gaming PCs for years, and I took the specs for that and duplicated it. Just went and bought all the same parts minus the GPU. Um, and then that PC tower became my home lab, and that's what I used for a long time was consumer grade desktop hardware, and it's morphed and evolved and changed over the years. I've tried home lab kits. I've tried. I went through a spell where I thought I was going to move into OpenShift and Kubernetes, and so I literally had three Dell PowerEdge R730s and a Dell PowerEdge R720. Um, in my basement in a house and was going to run an OpenShift cluster in the basement and run into all those power and heating issues. But excuse me. But I hear this debated among home labbers. I will probably never ever go back to enterprise grade hardware ever again.
Yeah.
It's unless there's something specific, like you mentioned, Cisco. Cisco's a great example. If you're a Cisco network administrator, I'd probably be running Cisco gear in my house. As it stands, I've got Ubiquiti. I've got a brand new. It's a U7 Pro, I think.
Okay.
Uh, Sitting right over here, just waiting to be mounted on the ceiling in my apartment. So 10 gig capable Wi-Fi. Looking forward to that. But I don't think I'll ever go anything higher than prosumer ever again.
Yeah.
Especially with being in a two-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, it's really no need for it, especially with the way those things sound. They sound like a jet taking off. I think we talked about that before, man. Those things, because I always wanted one, and this been, years in the making. I always looked at getting one, and I would run across them all the time. You'll see them on marketplace, like a college shutting down, like some of those for-profit colleges. They'll shut down, and they'll have them for like real cheap, and you
Hmm.
can get a production grade one, or one of those expensive blade servers. You can get them for real cheap, but
Yeah.
I know it's going to drive my wife crazy, and she's going to be like, "Nah, you got to get rid of this thing." So, so I never would get it, but yeah. Um, Yeah, but so, yeah, and I've always ran just desktop hardware, the same thing, gaming systems, or one of the things I bought was one of those Dell T140s. It was just
Yeah.
a desktop
Hmm.
version. That's what I'm currently running Proxmox on right now, and the only thing is it has limitations because right now I'm maxed out on it. I can only go up to 64 gigs of memory, and also the limitations on the video cord because of the power supply in it.
Mm.
I can't go any higher on the power supply. So, because those with those Dell systems, they have it to where you can only use their power supply.
Yep.
It'll only fit in that. It's their proprietary power supply, and you can't just put any power supply in it. So yeah,
Well, and disks are so small nowadays, and the motherboards are so powerful.
yeah,
Usually, when I build a home server, I'll build it into a custom chassis.
mm,
Usually, a lot more slots for things, and nowadays I'm looking at probably running two GPUs at some point. One for local LLM learning,
oh yeah,
teaching myself how to do local AI, that kind of thing, and then the other one would probably be for my Plex server. Um, Although CPU transcoding has gotten so good that I might not mess with that. I haven't quite decided, which is kind of part of the journey this year. Uh, I mentioned I've got a Dell PowerEdge R720. It currently lives in a co-located data center here in Kansas City because apartment and
yeah,
R720s. It is on its last leg. It is old. The hardware is so old that I don't know if I can run much newer versions of Proxmox on it. The only reason I haven't replaced it yet is because it's big enough to hold spinning disks. Because
yeah,
I've run a Plex library for 15 years now. I've just collected I've gotten a massive library just
mm,
from backing up family DVDs and friends loaning me stuff and say,
yeah,
hey, I'll give you my, season 6 of whatever if you'll put it on your Plex server and share access with me.
yeah.
So my thinking is probably hopefully by the end of the year, my thought is to replace the Dell PowerEdge and the colo with something here that's quiet, apartment friendly, doesn't generate a lot of heat, probably a NAS for storage, and then
Yeah.
something pretty small. Maybe I don't know if I'd go as small as a NUC, but something that size. Run a couple of those and do some kind of a Proxmox cluster or something. What do you think?
Um, I would recommend checking out 45 Drives,
Mm,
45 Home Lab. They actually have um the HL8, and it's very quiet. The home lab version, and it is And I actually have one. It has 8 bays. Um, it's like a mini PC essentially, and it you could put a lot of stuff on it, and um, and you can run Plex off of it. It runs Rocky Linux on it with their version. They have a basically on top of it they have Houston UI. It's a Houston UI. It's basically like what do you call that web app that sits on top of Rocky Linux
Oh,
that
talking
you
about
can,
cockpit.
yeah, cockpit. It's basically a
Hmm.
modified cockpit.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah, that you can that sits on top of it, and it actually shows you your hardware, pretty much everything that's on the system, and you can control everything on there. You can get it all updated and all that stuff from there, and run ZFS, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so you can install applications on it, and that could be a good um, at least storage location for Plex.
Yeah, and I was looking at a storage only solution, but it looks like just pulling this up real quick. It looks like the CPU may be powerful enough to handle 4K streams.
Yes,
So it'd be
yes.
nice if I could offload Plex off that R720, and then I mean my other requirements are things like Minecraft, and
Oh yeah.
I've got my professional website. Oh gosh, what else do I have running? For all my Valheim players out there, I just rebuilt my Valheim server the other day. Looking forward to a new playthrough on that. But
Okay.
just different, so nothing that takes up a lot of resources. I mean, the biggest thing is going to be I spin up and tear down a lot of small virtual machines to record product demos or to do walkthroughs or that kind of thing. So if with something like this, it'd be easy to just offload Plex entirely, and that changes the server game quite a bit. And then even like what you've got in the background, just a very very small networking rack.
Yeah.
I could put my Unified gear in there. I could put the 45 homelab
Hmm.
and whatever I get for Proxmox. Put all that in there because here at the apartment I've got 3 gig Google Fiber. And
Okay.
so, I mean, that's
That's
three
awesome.
times what I get at the
Yeah.
co-located data center. Um, and so that'll eliminate, $70 a month in co-location fees.
Yeah.
It'll bring up my power bill a little bit, but it'd just be nice to have all that back in-house again.
And then with your professional websites, one thing I do is I run everything through Cloudflare, through a tunnel. Because I'm not sure who your oh yeah, you said Google is your provider.
Yep.
Well, I have Cox, because I
Mm,
live in Las Vegas. Cox blocks port 80 because they don't want people hosting websites. So
mm.
I have to run everything through a Cloudflare tunnel. So I created a tunnel, and all my professional websites run through that tunnel. And so that's how I host everything. So everything is hitting port 80 through Cloudflare. And
Gotcha.
so I also have a reverse proxy at the house. That's all running um through Proxmox. I have a Proxmox reverse proxy, and all my professional websites are going through that, and then also the tunnel. And then so all of that's being ran through there. So that's just a simple way of hosting all your stuff. I don't know how you host all your stuff, but yeah,
I've
you can
got
host it that
I've
way
got
as well.
OpenSense set
Oh,
up
okay. OpenSense.
on
Okay.
Proxmox, so
Okay. All
it's
right.
been working kind of nice. I need to figure out how to run that through Tailscale so I can get to the console because right now I've got a jump server that runs on
Okay.
Proxmox that's running Fedora Linux, and so I
Uh
have to use the right now. I just have to sit down and play with the networking, but
yeah.
right now uh, I have to connect to my Proxmox web console, pull up the virtual console for my virtual machine,
Mhm.
and log in, and then launch Firefox, and then get to the OpenSense console because that's definitely not something I want open to the world.
Yeah.
The only exception to that is in OpenSense, there's a rule that my home IP allows any traffic to and from my Proxmox box. But that's
Uh,
just from this location.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
I got you.
Everything else runs through the reverse proxy. So it's pretty nice right now, but using like Tailscale or NetBird or something, which I was just introduced to a few weeks ago at Linux Fest Northwest, looks pretty cool to manage not only reverse proxy but also things like access rules.
Okay. Yeah, and I've looked into those who I seen trying to remember who that was that was talking about it, Netbird, whatever. But it was another content creator. I remember covering that. But yeah, that looks like an interesting piece of hardware. I mean, software tools that I might want to check out. It's kind of like Tailscale, right? It's
Yeah, it's
essentially
similar. They've got a few pieces that Tailscale doesn't, and
okay.
there's a couple of things that they don't have that Tailscale does. If I ever get some paid vacation, it'd be nice to take a couple of days and do like a comparison video, but um,
Okay.
that would require me learning both tools.
Yeah.
I am the least educated Tailscale user there is, but
Hey, me
it
too.
does enough.
Don't feel bad. Me too.
It does enough that when I'm not at home, um, on my home IP, like when I take my laptop to conferences, like I'll be traveling again here in a couple of weeks to another Linux Fest. I've got Tailscale set up just enough that I can get to my Proxmox server and reboot a virtual machine or something if it were to go down while I'm remote. But that's about it.
Got you.
Now you got me thinking again about maybe do I want to get something like this 45 HomeLab and then just do cloud-based virtual machines. I'm a big fan of Linode. I've been a big fan of DigitalOcean for years. Maybe it's just having the rest of that on a cloud provider somewhere where it's not coming to the house. But then again, that there's a lot of cost benefit to self-hosting on hardware in your home lab versus cloud-based.
Hmm.
Um, and now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it wouldn't be cost effective because I do have that 3 gig connection here at the house. But do you have any of your workloads in cloud providers, or is it all home-based hardware?
I recently moved pretty much everything into my home. Like at one point I did have my main websites running out of GCP,
Mm.
Google Cloud Platform.
Hmm.
Um, but they were through WordPress, and I was also hosting um, like family members' websites and stuff like that, and I would leave things up to them as far as managing their WordPress sites, and then it got to the point where people weren't taking care of their WordPress sites, and the sites were getting hacked, and the IP address was getting, damaged, and you know how the spam it'll start showing um, all these different domains that are coming back to this IP address. They'll start getting that negative effect. So I
Hmm.
just told them, You're gonna have to move your sites to another platform," and I just shut that whole server down up there, and then I also got tired of WordPress as well. It was just kind of hard to maintain, and I started moving everything over to um, just building my own like platforms using Next.js,
Mm.
um,
I've been
and
thinking about
hosting
making
them
that
at the
move
house.
myself.
Yeah, and
WordPress does enough, but it's overkill for what I
yeah,
need.
and then it gets
If I could get
bloated.
some basic traffic and
Yeah.
some basic traffic analytics, basically it holds my portfolio. I've
Hmm.
got a digital version of my resume up there that comes in handy from time to time. But I mean, for the most part, it's just a digital doorway into everything else that I do. Uh, so it's essential, but WordPress is just overkill.
Yeah, it's too bloated for the little stuff, especially for the little stuff I was doing, and I'm pretty sure for the stuff you were doing, just a portfolio. You don't really need it that bloated of a application to do that,
Yep.
So yeah. So that's why I migrated everything locally, and then also the traffic was low, So it
Hmm.
was like I was only paying pennies a month anyway in GCP, but I said, well, I'll just move it down and I could host it. And actually I'm getting a lot more traffic now that I moved it down and I'm able to control things better. And
Mm.
also I'm building on it a whole lot better and making things look a little better and as well as SEO, just making things a whole lot better by having the control through Next.js versus WordPress. You can only do so much without adding all these different plugins, and
Hmm.
you don't know if this plugin is going to have a vulnerability, and then searching through, yeah, it's just
I've
a
never had
headache
any of those problems with WordPress. Just,
for
just
real.
every, just every day. No, I'm just totally
Oh,
kidding.
I know. I get.
Yeah, I borrowed some space off of a friend of mine's server, but he hadn't. His operating system is actually end of life, and he's kind of stuck with trying to get the new hardware requisitioned and get a new operating system, and then starting to move his clients over one at a time. And
Oh
as
yeah.
I've started to do more, it's like, you know what? I'll save you a little bit of time and effort. So I took my 400 meg WordPress backup, and over the last weekend, actually moved it back in my home server. Well, the home
Okay.
server that's sitting in a colo,
Yeah.
but it just if any of you are looking to get started in your career and you want some wins, doing stuff like this is a great way to build those muscle memories to learn from your mistakes,
Yep.
um, and that kind of thing. Just because, I mean, to be honest, I spent maybe hour and a half, 2 hours cloning a virtual machine template, setting it up, getting automatic updates configured, pulling down the Docker container to run under Podman, migrating my WordPress site, updating DNS. I mean, it took me just a couple of hours. But then when I was done and I pulled up that incognito tab and I went to my website, and it's just like, that's hitting my hardware. That's hitting my technology stack, and that's my website. That's the feeling of accomplishment was so good, and especially in a season where just everything seems to be in chaos. It's like, this small thing I control. This is mine,
Yeah.
and even if it is WordPress.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I'm glad you brought up that point because that's something I try to say on my channel a lot as well, man. Like that feeling of accomplishment, just setting things up and you're controlling this, you're managing this, and also that muscle memory that you get from
Hmm.
actually setting things up yourself. Because I'm one of those type of learners where I have to actually do something in order
Yes.
to fully grasp it. Like I even have like Windows setups at home that I have within Proxmox because it's a beneficial because I work in a Windows environment.
Mm.
So I'm a database administrator. I manage um uh um, Microsoft SQL Server 2012,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
2016, 2022. Yes,
Gosh.
I got you. But yeah, and so sometimes I run into issues at work and I can't play around with the system at work, but at home I can mess the system up and then and not that I'm trying to mess it up, but I can mess it up or try different things and break it there without having that issue of, oh, I screwed up all the data at work and getting fired. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you have those options to train and learn and teach yourself things at home or trying things outside of the box in order to help you learn things and get better at your job. So,
Yeah, and like my WordPress exercise a few weeks ago was it was funny because you talk about breaking things. I pulled down the wrong WordPress image. I pulled down the full-blown official WordPress image that has the web server built into it, which as a
mhm,
standalone box is great, but I've got a reverse proxy, I've got OpenSense, and then I've got Nginx.
okay.
And so I don't know if at one point I might have been like triple natted or something between OpenSense, Nginx, and then WordPress. And so it took me a while to figure out why can I not get to the WordPress configuration wizard, and then I realized that what I actually wanted was the stripped down WordPress that you just point Nginx to, and it goes. I think it's the FPM image,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
doing that at work under pressure is like I got to get this fixed. This isn't working. Why isn't this working? Now my boss is upset. But here at
Yeah.
home, it's like, that was funny. I think that means it's time to go fill up my beverage and try again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I want to ask, if you
hmm
had it to do all over again, your entire home lab career as it was, is there anything you'd do different?
Um, let's see. It's a toughie. I would hmm, I would get more network equipment earlier on.
Mm,
Yeah, earlier on in my career as well, along with the the normal desktop equipment that I got so I can start incorporating that earlier on in my career as well because I'm still a little behind on the networking stuff like what we were talking about earlier with Tailscale. I'm still behind on networking. Like I
mm,
still have that, you know, the subnetting stuff I'm dealing with and just trying to understand all that stuff. And the VLAN stuff, I've gotten better with it over time, but I wish I had a better grasp on that early on in my career
mm,
so I can so it would have helped me throughout my career because it does pop up especially as a system administrator, instead of leaning on other people, like, oh, I'm not a networking guy, or saying that
yep.
throughout my career. I could have just been like, oh, I know how to do this too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always good to be that jack of all trades. Not really, but at least you are familiar with it. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah,
at
to
least,
be able to speak the same language really
yeah,
helps.
exactly, exactly.
Well, and it's kind of funny because different careers develop down different paths. And
hmm
so Linux systems administration was the predominant of my decade plus in IT operations. But I did Windows administration. I did Active Directory. If I never have to manage another group policy object, as long as I live, I will die happy. Um, but operating systems were always the core of my career. But I also dabbled in things like storage. When NetApp came out with their what was it, flash-based storage, I think is
Oh
what it
yeah.
was. I got to manage one of those right alongside an Oracle Pillar SAN, which was absolute garbage. Well, especially compared to the NetApp, real brand new, all shiny, and oh, it was beautiful. Uh, but I did operating systems, storage, backups. If I never have to manage another tape drive, I'll die happy.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then one job, load balancers were mine as well. But pure networking was never something that came up. I was always in environments that had really good network engineers. So that's just not something I ever dove into. And I'm probably greatly underutilizing the Ubiquity hardware that I have in house. But it just stuff's stable. It runs like a rock, and I've carried the same configuration for over a
Yeah,
decade. It
every
just
job
works.
I've been in, they have always had networking issues. Yeah, it's always been bad, man. But
So
yeah.
if you have any advice for my listeners, I've got people from just in college trying to figure out what they're wanting to do with their career to people that are trying to reinvent themselves and everything in between. If you had any advice to share, what would it be?
I would say figure out what you like. So um try different pieces of software, try different operating systems, and find out what you actually like. Try different hardware, because everybody has their path, especially in IT. You
Mhm.
don't have to follow the trends. Like I know one of the hottest things right now is, or it's been a hot thing for a while now, is cybersecurity. Everybody's trying to get into
Hmm.
cybersecurity. You know, you want to be like one of the want to follow that hacker trend or all
Right.
that stuff. But there's a lot of other jobs out here that make really good money and it's also fun. Um, but try it out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you may find out that data is your thing. Like I'm a database
Mm.
administrator, man. Like I never thought I would be working with databases. Like I kind of did a little bit of it earlier on, and I didn't realize that I liked databases because I didn't understand that what I was working with earlier in my career was actually databases,
Mm.
which was spreadsheets
Yep.
because it's essentially a spreadsheet is essentially a table that and a table and a database is essentially multiple tables in a database. And I was real great with Excel, like writing all those formulas and
Hmm.
just doing pivot tables and all that stuff. I mean, all it is just queries for a database essentially.
Yep.
And just making the data manipulating the data to show it however you know you need to show it in order to present it to whoever is trying to view the data a specific way. But I didn't realize that that's what I like to do until I was introduced to databases and was like, oh, this is just spreadsheets.
Right.
And yeah, and so just find out what you actually like. So try different areas. Not everybody needs to be cybersecurity. Not everybody needs to be systems administrator. I mean, just try what you don't follow the trends. Just
Yep.
try different things and see what you actually like to do and stick with that and also find you a mentor. So
Mm.
if
Yes.
like for instance, Eric, he's real good with Linux. I'm real good with databases. Just find you somebody that's in that area of what you want to go into and ask them. Most of us guys that work in these fields and have been working in these fields will guide you through the process.
Yep.
Now it has changed over time because it's constantly changing, but we can at least guide you through uh certain ways to actually navigate this pipeline to get you where you need to go.
Yep.
That's my advice.
So to you, I would say that I was ruined early on in my career on databases because I had to administer clusters of Oracle RAC databases in the early 2010s, and
Okay.
those were a bear. Oh, they were so bad. Once you got everything configured and you got all the caching and all that kind of stuff and the clusters to where they were talking to each other, they were fine, but it was a nightmare to get them up and running. So I've been ruined on databases since early on. Um,
Yeah.
but to your point, to the audience, to your point about cybersecurity, and this is something that I tell my students as well, is if your idea of cybersecurity comes from watching 24 or CSI or one of
Mr.
these crime
Robot.
shows, right,
Or
Mr. Robot, yeah. Well, Mr. Robot's probably more accurate than some of the
yeah,
others,
it
but it's
is.
that's not what cybersecurity looks like. There's no zoom and enhance in cybersecurity. It's a lot of reading. It is a lot of
Yeah.
trial and error. And with the advent of AI and open source technologies, vulnerabilities are just getting more and more prevalent. So it is not a glamorous job. I liken it to the technology version of being a firefighter. You
Yeah.
hone your craft, you practice, and you just hope that you never get that call
Yeah.
because you know that you'll go from, laid back reading some CVE reports one day to the next day getting called at 6 in the morning because the CEO of the company heard about a vulnerability on headline news or whatever
Yep.
news channel nowadays, and it's just like, oh crap, everything just hit the fan. Get in here now. So
Yep.
it's if you're picking cybersecurity because you think it's fun and glamorous, think again.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
I mean,
It
if
reminds
you
me of
like
that
that,
Cloudflare
oh yeah,
situation that happened a while back. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. And and like I know Josh is this way, and I know a bunch of other content creators that I'm friends with, and myself as well. That we're all very open. I have the same handle on just about every platform because it makes me easy to find. So if you have questions, reach out to Josh. If you have questions, reach out to me. Um, it's I love sharing my knowledge. I never thought I would be considering a career shift to full-time teaching, but that's something I see on the horizon for myself. So if you've got questions, don't hesitate to reach out. That's how we all learned. That's how I learned, and that's how we learn as just human beings. So, well, Josh, I really appreciate you joining me. This was a great conversation, and I've got some notes to apply to my own home lab, which will probably make it into future content. But in the meantime, where can people find Keep It Techie?
Yeah, you can find me on all my socials. It's all Keep It Techie. So YouTube, Instagram, pretty much everywhere. TikTok, all that stuff or whatever.
Awesome. Yeah, and in fact, Josh doesn't know it, but he's actually helping me prepare for my Linux Plus certification exam. So he's got courses out on his YouTube channel and his website. So Josh is an amazing technologist and a really good communicator. So definitely check out his content. I may or may not check it out from time to time for learning something of my own. So,
Appreciate it.
but thank you for joining me, Josh. Really
Yeah, no
appreciate it.
problem.
So this has been episode 23 of the IT Guy Show. Got more content coming your way. Got more guests to interview, more adventures to go on. Next episode might be a little bit delayed. I've got back-to-back conferences coming up in the next few weeks. So, but if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, because it really does help grease the algorithms so that new people can come in and find this content. And uh, Josh can tell you it's a slog when you're trying to get things up and running. But definitely appreciate Josh coming in as my guest. Definitely appreciate all of you for continuing to listen. And until then, I've been Eric the IT Guy Hendricks for Josh from Keep It Techie. And until then, we'll see you next time.